Hi everybody. In this video we are going to discuss about win in a board game problem solution. If you have read the problem, some of you might have understood that it is a simple problem once you understand the crux of the problem. Some of you might have been misled that we have to have a two-dimensional representation and so on. That is not at all required to solve the problem. This problem can be easily solved if we understand the basic idea. It is not required to represent the board at all. So let us read the problem, understand, and then proceed. It's given that it is a board game and you have got P cross P board. So it's a square board and the cells are going to be numbered like this 0, 0, 0, 1 and so on. So the point that we have to note here is each of the dimensions starts with 0, right? Row number also starts with 0, column number also starts with 0, and here the movement is given. 4 type of movements are possible: left, right, up and down. And when you see the movements, actually the basic idea is the coin will not be allowed to move outside the board. For example, if you are here 0, 0, if you are trying to make a left move or a down move, then the coin will not move at all. It will be in the same position. But if you try to make a right move or a up move, then it will move. If you make a right move, it will go to 0, 1. If you make a up move, it will go to 1, 0, right? That's the basic idea of the movements that is given here. So you can just have a look at it. Left, if you are telling that left means if the current position is m, n, then your position after move will be m, n minus 1. Left means your column should get decreased, right? If n is greater than 0, right? After moving, if your n is if your n is greater than 0, then you can tell n minus 1. Otherwise, you have to tell m, n. There is the coin should not move at all. There won't be change in the current position if your column is going to be minus 1 or something like that, right? If it is maximum, it can be 0. That's all. Similarly, when you make a right move, you should be careful that your coin should not move after the column, right? Maximum column is p minus 1, right? The maximum column that can be reached is only p minus 1. P is the dimension of the board, means the largest column will be p minus 1. So if n is less than p minus 1, then only you should make this move. That is m, n plus 1, you can tell, right? If m is equal to p minus 1 or greater than, it cannot be. If it is equal to p minus 1 itself, you cannot make the move, right? It means that your coin is in the rightmost column, right? Similarly, up and down. When you are doing up movement, you should be careful about the row. So you will be checking about the value of m, and down movement also is based on row. So you should be checking the value of m, right? So let's see the algorithm for this problem. So the algorithm will be, first step is to read the initial position of the coin and then read the number of moves. Actually, in this problem, you will be given the initial position and a number of moves, and you will be reading each and every move one by one. If it is L, then you have to make a left move. If it is R, then you have to make a right move. If it is U, then you will be making an up move, and D means down move, right? So read each move and move the coin appropriately. And then you will be reading the desired final position also, right? After reading the final position, what you require, you will check whether the current position of the coin, after making those many number of moves, whether the current position of the coin is same as the desired final position. If it is so, then you will print win, otherwise you have to print loss. This is the algorithm. Now let's try to implement it. So the algorithm is copied, and also I have defined 4 functions: move left, move right, move up, move down. And I have given pass because implementation we will do later. And you can see the number of arguments I have passed. When you see left movement, you need to know only the current position, because the boundary condition is the number of the column number should not be less than 0, right? That's all. So 0, everyone knows that. But whereas if you want to make a right move, I have to pass the information m, n and the dimension, right? As per the problem, the dimension is going to change. Sometimes it will be a 4 cross 4, sometimes it will be a 10 cross 10 board, right? So I need to know the dimension when I am moving towards the right, so that I will not move after the maximum column, right? So the maximum column depends on the dimension, so I need to pass that also to the function. Whereas if you see the left moment, I need not pass the any other information, because we know that the boundary condition for left is 0. I should not move left to 0, that's all, right? Similarly, when you make a up movement also, as per the picturization of the board given in the problem, the maximum, once again I will show it better. You can see that the board maximum row occurs only towards the up, topmost thing, right? So you have to just check, right? When you are making a up movement, you have to check whether you are going beyond the dimension, so you have to pass the dimension. Whereas if you are making a down movement, that is not required. Okay, so this is the algorithm that we are going to implement. So let's implement the algorithm and then we will be writing the functions. So the first thing tells you read the dimension. Okay, first thing is initial position, right? So let me tell m comma n equal to, right? So before this, I think we have to read the dimension of the board also. So let me give dimension equal to, convert it into an integer also, right? And you are going to read the current position of the coin, so m comma n, right? And actually you are going to read in the same row, right? How it will be given is, for example, let me just show. If the current position is 1 comma 0, then it will be given 1 space 0, right? That's how it's going to be given. So 1 space 0 on the same line. So we can use the input function for reading this. It will read as a whole, and then we can use the split function. When you use split, what will happen? If you are not passing any argument to split, based on space, it will split into 2 values, right? And it will form a list, right? And then I have to actually, both will be string. The point that we have to understand is, after splitting you will get 2 elements, but both will be string. I want to convert it into integers, because positions, if they are integers, then only I can do the arithmetic operations and comparison operations properly, right? So I have to do it. So I am going to write a list comprehension on a single line, and I am going to achieve that. So you just see m comma n equal to, I am going to form a list, right? And I will tell int of x for x in input dot split, right? So when a line is read, what will happen here is, this input function will read this line 1 space 0, and this split will convert it into a list. And you are iterating through the list, you are taking the element one by one and you are converting it to a integer, right? So for x and this, you are going to convert that x into a list, x into a int, and it will be inside the list. And we know that only 2 elements are going to come, that is the current row position and the current column position, right? And you are giving m comma n equal to, so obviously what will happen is unpacking will happen, and the first value will go to m and the second value will go to n, right? Now we have to read the number of moves, right? So let me tell number of moves equal to, it should be an integer. So let's read the value and convert it into integer for each move, right? So for move 1, or else I will tell I for I in range 0 comma num moves, right? What you are going to do is, what you are going to do is, you will be reading the direction of the move, right? So let me tell move equal to input, you can have it as a string itself, because it is given in the problem that for left move they will give L, right? So you can tell if move equal to L, right? If move equal to L, then you tell move left, okay, move left, and you have to pass m and n, right? And else if move equal to right, if you are going to make a right move, then you have to tell move right, you pass the current position and the dimension, okay? And next is, we have to check whether we are moving up or down next. So for up, it's given, we will be given u, right? So you tell move up and you will be passing the current position and the dimension. And yeah, you can either put else, or you can also tell LF move equal to D. Since it's given that it's not given basically to check the validity of the input, we just assume that the entire input will be valid. So if I put else itself, I understand that it will be D, right? So in that case, I can tell move down, right? For move down, you can just tell m comma n, right? So this should be working. Let us see dimension. Yeah, here is the dimension. Okay, I think there is a spelling mistake. Yeah. So the moves are made, and then you are going to read the desired final position, right? And how it will be given? In the same way, right? Like this only it's going to be given. So we have to repeat once again the same thing. So let me tell desired is x comma desired y. Okay, desired x comma desired y equal to int of x, okay, for x n input dot split. Okay, yeah, and after that what we should do? And one more thing, sorry, actually we are moving left and right. When we are going to move, we should also receive the return value, right? Because they are basically integers, they will be passed as value only. What I tell is a copy of that will be made in the function space and that will be changed. If I want to get the change here reflected, then I should get it in the arguments. So please include this also. That is m comma n equal to, after the move, the return value should be received in m comma n, otherwise the changes will not be reflected. Okay, so if the current position of the coin is same as the desired one, current position is in m and n, right? So what we are going to basically do is desired x equal to m, right, and desired y equal to n. Okay, if desired x is equal to m and desired y is equal to n, then you are going to print win. Okay, otherwise you are going to print loss. So the skeleton of the code is ready. We are yet to implement the functions. Okay, so let's come back and do it. Here we are telling move left, right? So what's the condition given in the problem? We can also just look at it. So let's look at the condition. So left means m comma n minus 1 if n is greater than 0, right? So if n is greater than 0, then we should return m comma n minus 1, right? And we will return m comma n otherwise. Okay, since it's a return, we need not give a else. What we can understand is if this condition is satisfied, then this return would have worked out, right? So the control would have gone to the place where the function call was made. If this line is getting executed, then it's else only, right? Okay, and next what we have to do, move right. Look at the problem, right? It is given if n is less than p minus 1, right? So if n is less than, I have given here as dimension minus 1, then in that case what you will do, you will return m comma n plus 1, and otherwise what you are going to do is we are going to return m comma n. Okay, and move up means you should check similarly m is less than p minus 1, right? So m is less than dimension minus 1, then you are going to return m plus 1 comma n. Otherwise you will be returning m comma n. Then down, for down, yeah, it's already returned. It's for down, we have to tell if m is greater than 0, right? So if m is greater than 0, then you are going to turn m minus 1 comma n, otherwise you are going to turn m comma n. Here by practice, by habitual, I have put else. If you put else also, no problem. So this is also going to help us only, no harm, right? So this will be the code that we may have to execute and check. So we can directly copy into the vPrepper editor and check it. So let me copy the code, okay, and put it here, and then you run. So when you run it, you will get all the test cases are passed, right? So actually the point that I want to emphasize here is sometimes the problem may look like a lot of concepts is involved, but here if you see it, it's basically some comparison and arithmetic operations is enough to solve this problem. If you spend some time on understanding the problem, definitely you can find an easier approach to solve it. Thank you.